Let's do it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of my new podcast interview series. Today with me, I've got CustomChief, or Custom Game.
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm doing well today.
I'm doing fine. Thanks for coming on.
No
So,
problem.
you made a video on your channel recently about the Halo Infinite delay, as did I. What was your video about? Because I have to be honest, I haven't watched it yet.
So right now, what I made, are you talking about the video I made today or the video I made earlier, like around right after the delay? Like which one?
Give me one moment here. Let me just find it. The one that came out today, crazy claims about Halo Infinite's development from 7 hours ago.
So basically, it was a video idea that I got this morning because I was thinking about Halo Infinite and I was just looking for news just to make a video because news is obviously low for any game, especially Halo right now. So I saw this weird article. I saw some people, like, there was a fuss on Twitter about it basically. So I decided to go read this article and then I was like, okay, I gotta make a video. Because one of the claims in it was that Halo Infinite's development was affected by the Halo TV show somehow. Yeah, that was one of the claims. And that's when, like, that whole article, I think, just lost all credibility to me. And that's where people were just, like, getting pissed off, I think.
Yeah, you were telling me about that earlier. So how involved with this Halo TV show development is 343? Because I've been hearing about this Halo TV show for, like, it feels like a decade now. Like, Steven Spielberg was supposed to be on board
I think
at
they
one
announced
point.
it in 2013, I think. But yeah, it's definitely, like, starting to ramp up. I think they're starting to film in November. But I think what some people are assuming is that, like, the story team of Halo Infinite is working on the TV show. But then also you have to think about it, 343 is not a small company by any means. They have separate teams for different things. Like, they think there's something called, I think they have a media team, which works with separate things other than just the games. So, like, to say that for example, it's not like one of the developers from Halo Infinite will be bringing insight into the Halo TV show. Like, it's two separate things, two different mediums of entertainment. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's a pretty stupid claim because it's not like being a video game programmer is the same as being like I don't picture people from 343 working on the show at all, other than like story consultants and stuff like that. And I mean, if they're still working on Halo Infinite's story right now, then they've got bigger problems to worry about than that.
Honestly, in my opinion, I think Halo Infinite's story is basically just finished. Like, I think they've known what they're going to do with this story for a while. And I think they're actually, like, they've been pretty confident with their story, I feel like. Especially since they're not doing what they did with Halo 5.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I'm not really worried about the story. I think there's great people behind it. Really, the thing we should be worried about with Halo Infinite's development is really, well, the development, like the graphics, how the game is coming together, communication between different teams. It's not about the creative direction at this point. It's just making sure this game's not a buggy mess when it comes out.
Oh, I completely agree. I don't know if you had seen my video earlier about my thoughts on the delay, but basically, to sum it up, I'm happy the delay is happening. I think it's a good thing that the delay is happening because it means 343 has the time that they need to make the game as good as it can be. I'm not letting 343 off the hook because I feel like the delay didn't need to happen if their team was being managed better. Like, they themselves created the situation where they needed to delay their game, and I think a lot of people are letting them off the hook with that just because they're happy that the delay is happening, which again I am as well, but I think it's their own, they're the ones to blame. They let it get to this point where they need to.
Yeah, I feel like also what's happening is people are just saying, oh, it's Corona's fault. Like, yeah, Corona definitely, like, I can say that on YouTube now. It doesn't demonetize people. I hope to God.
No, I'm not monetized
But
anyway. It doesn't matter. I don't make any money.
that's fine. Hopefully soon. But let's go ahead and go back on track. Really, people, like, if you just blame COVID for this, it really isn't just COVID. Like, before COVID, apparently there's been a lot of rumors saying that this game has already had trouble before then, because they're just moving at a slower pace. And I can see that because developing a new engine while trying to make a new game it takes years of work. Like 2 to 3 years of this game was probably just making the engine. Like I have a good example. I think one good example would be Half-Life 2, for example. The original Half-Life came out in 1998. When they're making Half-Life 2, it took them like I think almost it came out in like 2004 or something, because they're making an engine alongside the new Half-Life, and then they had to separate it into parts because they weren't able to complete the whole game, and eventually they scrapped part 3 because, well, the engine just took up too much of the time. But yeah, I think it's really because the game engine was just a struggle for 343 to develop.
Yeah, and you know, every development with video games is gonna have road bumps along the way, but it really does feel like there was just a lot of and this is just my outside view looking in on the development. My theory as to why there was never any marketing for so long about the story, or like why they were so silent, is I think they didn't have any concrete ideas about what they were gonna do, and they didn't want to like falsely advertise like they had done with Halo 5, because they caught a lot of flack for that. So because they didn't know with 100% certainty what was going to be in the game, they just didn't say anything because they were scared of saying something that would end up being a lie. And I think because they kept changing their minds so much, that's why it took them like 4 or 5 years to even like, you know, give us a concrete story trailer.
No, yeah, that's definitely true. I honestly, like, yeah, normally if Halo 5 wasn't a disaster, we probably would have gotten the story, like say Halo 5, for example, followed up with Hunt the Truth and everything. People still had complaints about the art style and gameplay, but the story was great. I feel like we would have heard about Halo Infinite's story, like, maybe even back in 2017 if Halo 5 went well. It's really just because they don't want to false advertise this game, which is a good thing, in my opinion. Like, if you don't have concrete, like, if you don't have a concrete game and you don't know what you're going to do with the game, don't advertise it until it's finished. So I think that's their goal. Once the game's finished, they're going to go crazy with the advertising.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing to think about is that the main villains, or at least what looks to be the main villains of Halo Infinite, is going to be the Banished. And the Banished didn't even exist until 2017. So that's 2 years after Halo 5 came out. So in those 2 years, at least, you know, they had to have been working on the engine or something. Or, you know, maybe they knew it was going to be about the Banished, but like, you know, the Halo Wars 2 hadn't even come out yet. They wouldn't even know how the Banished would be received or anything at that point either.
Also, my question, leaning more in the story details, is really, like, what do you think the main villain of the Banished is going to be? Is it really going to be that new character? Because I don't know how 343 can just totally neglect Atriox. He's such a big character, I feel like, and a fan favorite now. Like, it just would be a missed opportunity if they don't even have him in the game once.
Here's my thoughts on the villain situation. I'm fine with it not being Atriox, because I feel like Atriox should be taken down by Captain Cutter. Like, I feel like that should be the Spirit of Fire's, like, that should be their battle to fight. However, there are so many other Banished characters they could have used that were pre-established. Like, this could have been Vortis or Pavium, or like the Shipmaster, or like even some of those DLC heroes, like the Hunter dude, what's his name, Colony. Even that kind of thing would have been fine. And then it's weird because with the Mega Bloks leak, they leaked that figure Hyperius, which is where I got the idea for my gamer tag, because I thought that's such a badass name. And you have this brute Hyperius who looks like he might have Locke's shoulder or helmet mounted on his shoulder, and it's like, man, that looks like it could be a really intimidating villain. And then they don't even use that guy either. They use some other like fuck off brute you've never heard of, whose name is like Isharum or something. Like, what the hell? I can't even pronounce that dude's name. Like,
they really need to explain how the Banished got there, first of all, because I feel like if the Banished were to go to the Arena, I feel like most of their forces would be moved there, because in Halo Wars 2 they didn't say there was remnants of the Banished anywhere else. The Banished was just on that ring. So when because basically at the end of Halo Wars 2 the Banished just got stuck on the ring, right? So they really need to nail down, like, we don't need a super clear answer, but we just need some sort of small explanation of how the heck did the Banished somehow screw over humanity when Cortana is ravaging everything, apparently. Like they can't just retcon Cortana and say, oh, she's good now. Or maybe Cortana doesn't even care about this conflict. Maybe this whole conflict is only secluded to the ring right now. And they have to take the ring because maybe the Banished are trying to seek control of the Halo ring and use it against humanity. But then also they have to also justify why does the Banished hate humanity so much.
Yeah, like you would think with Cortana being like big space mommy of the galaxy or whatever with her guardians that she wouldn't allow the Banished to like do that to humanity, you know? She might not be particularly happy with them for resisting her, but you would think that she would have a bit of a soft spot for humans and not just let the Banished like decimate humanity and like wage open war against them. I feel like she'd be there to like shut that down with her guardians. It's kind of weird.
Or this is all going under her radar. Like there is technically a chance. Like think about it, like it just brings so many callbacks to Combat Evolved. Like this, just like a huge battle on a Halo ring. That's all it is. It's a huge battle. It's a fight over a Halo ring. It's two enemy factions trying to take back a ring. Like I think it's gonna be more of like a tug of war, basically.
Yeah, the only reason I wouldn't buy that Cortana wouldn't know about that is you would think if there was anywhere in the galaxy that she would be looking, it would be like the Halo rings.
Yeah, and that's where the Grave Mine would probably come in there, because there's a lot of theories about how Halo 3 Cortana might have gotten the Logic Plague, and there is a lot of validity to that, even in the expanded lore. And if 343 really wants to explain why Cortana is evil, they can easily say it's a Logic Plague, and it will just, people mostly be fine with that. Like, just imagine, like, this huge battle in the ring, and at the very end, Cortana is, like near the side of the flood. But I'm not entirely sure, because in the teasers, they tease that there's a Cortana that's with Chief or something, like of him putting a chip. I do not think it's a new UI. Like, I mean, AI by any means. I think it's going to be a fragment of Cortana or another part of Cortana. I'm not sure.
So, on the topic of Cortana, what do you want for Cortana in Halo Infinite? Because personally, I think Cortana should just die, should just go away, and I don't want a new Cortana. I don't want Cortana 2. I don't want like a fragment or a clone. I don't think she should be able to get redeemed after what happened. I think they just need to get rid of that character, and if they want to have an AI, then they need to just like give Chief a new one.
There's
give
great
him
AIs. Roland's a great character. Even in Halo 5, I still think his performance, like the actor did a great performance.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not like everyone in Halo 5 was complete garbage. There's some great performances in 5. But with Cortana and Halo Infinite, it's kind of like a half and half situation, because I don't know what I really want 343 to do with her. Because in one hand, Cortana is just, I don't know, she's kind of the humanizing factor of Chief, I feel like. So I feel like Cortana, like, maybe if they tell it, like, I think they're gonna do like something like Halo 3, where they build up Cortana and then Chief somehow rescues her, which is something I don't want, but I feel like 343 will do something like that, kind of like a callback to Halo 3. Like, I just don't see them killing off Cortana, especially with like Jen Taylor and Steve Downes as being just have such great chemistry too. Like, I don't know. If they do kill off Cortana, though, we do have Dr. Halsey, which I feel like could be a great character to Chief and probably just be his guiding factor. I'm not entirely sure, though, what I really want with Cortana, because they dig themselves in such a deep hole with her character. I don't know how they're going to get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I just, my fear is that they're just gonna, like, loop everything back together, and at the end it's just gonna be like Chief and Cortana, just like old times, and I don't think that should be allowed to happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if because I think they wanted to kill Cortana in Halo 4. This is my own little theory, right? I think 343 fully intended for Cortana to just be dead in Halo 4, and they brought her back in Halo 5 due to like pushback by fans, because people were so upset that Cortana was killed off because she was like a main character. Maybe even Microsoft pushed them to bring her back because she's so like iconic, and they just named their like AI helper Siri thing after her, kind of thing. So I think that might be part of the reason they brought her back for Halo 5, and I think it's the same reason they won't have like the balls to kill her off in Infinite, but I really hope that they do. But I think they're too scared to do it because they're scared of like the backlash and stuff.
Well, you have to think about one of the writers on Halo Infinite. He's the writer they have for Halo Infinite, like one of them. There's obviously I think three of them. They have one of the writers from Arkham Knight, which is a fairly dark game and takes a lot of risk. I feel like this story is going to be really good. It might not be the story I want, but I do think they're going to explore some pretty interesting themes. I feel like they're trying to go for a balance between the Halo 4 chief and then like the OG chief, you know? Like the chief that doesn't speak a lot. This like you the player are chief basically, but then they're going to slowly build up that emotion as the game goes on. And that's why you have the pilot. Like the pilot I think well, Brohammer, we're going to call him that obviously still. Like it's just such a great character for Chief, and I feel like the conflicts they have is gonna like slowly turn Chief into a more human character as the story goes on. Like if they're not gonna have Cortana in the game, the pilot needs to be that companion through the entire game. Like it just has to be that way.
Yeah, I could definitely see him being like Chief's more human side during Infinite. You know what do you think about the fact that they won't reveal his name for some reason, and they've actively are making it a mystery? Like it'd be one thing if they just hadn't said it, but like they've done tweets and stuff where like they specifically say like the pilot whose name you'll find out during the campaign. It's like is his name a big deal? Like why don't they just say his
I think it
name?
might be a big deal. He could be. It could reveal a lot of things. Like I'm not necessarily sure about his name. I feel like someone had to try making a theory on this. Like, I'm surprised Halo Forward didn't make a 40-minute video on the name of the pilot. But if they're not saying it, I think it's gonna be like some sort of reveal, but it's gonna be something satisfying for lore fanatics or something. I don't think it's gonna be like way too important for the game in the now, but overall slightly important. Or they could just drop his name in the first like in the middle of the game just randomly and be like, "Oh yeah, that's his name. Oh my god, crazy."
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, he can't be related to anyone we know because there's like, I'm trying to rack my brain if there's any like Latino Halo characters at all that like are pre-established. So
Yeah,
like,
bro, everyone in Infinity is apparently dead, which I don't like. Like they can't just like kill Lasky off screen or something. Like I really hope they did not kill Lasky. Like Sarah Palmer, she can just fly out of a the Infinity. I don't care if she dies. But like even though I hated Locke, Lasky, and all these characters, I feel like they should have some place in Infinite, but just small roles. Kind of like in the original trilogy, how you had characters who weren't really that important, but they were just cool to be there. Like Sergeant Johnson, for example, wasn't really a big part of the story. He was just a badass character. Like I feel like they could make Locke that sort of character, in my opinion. Like instead of just killing him off.
hmm.
Like I think Locke still has a chance in the Halo universe because in reality he's a well-written character in the expanded lore, but in Halo 5 obviously that game's so messed up it just ruins his name, I feel like.
Yeah, one
And
of
I
the things I talked about in the past was that Halo Infinite has too many characters going into the story, especially with Fireteam Osiris and Blue Team and like right off the bat you've got what nine Spartans. Like, what do you think they're gonna do with like Blue Team and Osiris in Infinite? Do you think that they'll just be unexplained the whole game, or that they'll be like a little subtle hint that they're off doing some other thing, or do you think they'll just straight up kill them?
I think they might just put them in the expanded lore and just keep them there in the comics and stuff, and then maybe have them in the future because they have to think about this. Infinite, this is not going to be the only campaign for Infinite. I think they said this is like the next 5 to 10 years of Halo, so I feel like over time we'll get more stories in this game, all this sort of stuff. You might not even be on a Halo reign. You might get an ODST spin-off within this game. But going back on topic, the Halo, the book Shadows of Reach
I'm
coming out.
familiar with it. Yeah, that's the one coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that might explain a lot of things because it takes place like very shortly after the events of Halo 5. They basically get back to Infinity somehow, but apparently the Banished took over Reach. So I feel like what might happen in the story is that Fireteam Osiris and also Blue Team might go there, and that's maybe the theory of how Locke maybe lost his helmet or was killed. Like maybe Locke has a noble sacrifice. I would be fine with that. I think that'd be super cool way to send off his character instead of just killing him off randomly.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that Shadows of Reach book is going to be very important, kind of like how the Fall of Reach book before like Combat Evolved or during when Combat Evolved came out was so important to the story, but that was only if you cared about the lore a bunch. Like the book I feel like is going to be a like that book when it drops is probably going to have some mind-blowing stuff in there. Like it's going to be super cool, I feel like.
As mind-blowing as God killing himself and then the universe putting him back together.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
um,
Sean, this is not meant to hate on you if you're watching this.
oh, Sean won't watch this.
Nah. One of your videos says Halo Infinite cannot have a good story. Like, what were you trying to say in that video? Because I haven't watched it.
Oh God, don't watch that one, man. That's a really bad video. I was like straight up drunk when I made that video, and I recorded the whole thing in one take, with like no cuts or anything.
It's called
and,
a one shot, so.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Yeah, so that was sort of like the genesis of that series. Was I made that video, and it kind of like. It blew up a little bit, kind of thing. It got a lot.
1.3K views is good. I
Yeah.
don't have any of my videos.
It got a little bit of traction that way, and it was really fast to make because I only, I recorded the whole thing in like one take. So I kind of wanted to stick with that theme for some of my one-shots, but some of them are done in one take, but a lot of them I like, if it gets too bad, I cut out a little bit here and there, or if I need to like edit, if I'm trying to edit in like a joke, then I obviously have to like leave gaps in the recording to edit around that.
Yeah,
But that particular video caught a bit of flack because it's really bad.
How many dis? Oh my god! You just start off with "Hello, idiots."
Yeah.
That's it. I think this is like a video for another day.
Yeah. No,
That's why it's. Someone just like said, "Oh, he was drunk when he made it." That's why it's confusing everyone. Nothing to look at. Carry on. So many people saw it.
Yeah, I straight up had a stroke like halfway through. Speaking of videos,
put this for watch later. I'm excited for this.
Speaking of videos, have you got any? What's your plans coming up? You got any new videos on the drop? They want everyone to know about?
Honestly, I've been making videos on the fly. Like, I know that sounds terrible, especially for YouTube and me trying to grow my channel. But I want to become more of those channels that, like, post something once a day that's just quick and short. Then every once in a while do something that's, like, 10 to 20 minutes. Because I kind of want to report more on, like, the new stuff that's going on in the gaming industry. Because I'm more of so an Xbox fan and big PC fan, too. Because I built my own PC, obviously. So I'm just going to start talking about just Xbox news in general, Halo Infinite news. I'll be putting out some theories about Infinite soon. There's no concrete plans yet, really. I just make videos whenever there's a big topic that comes out, and I just put my thoughts over it.
Right on. I don't know if I have any concrete plans for videos coming out in the near future either. Besides, I'm trying to set up a couple more of these little podcast interview things, so we'll see how those go through. This one I'm hoping I can get uploaded today, like tonight or tomorrow. I'll cut out all the racist stuff that you said too, because I was.
No, I know. I'm just that terrible of a person, you know.
I didn't know you felt that way about Johnson.
Johnson, bro, wait a minute. I'm being accused of things I didn't say, guys. Cancel Roadman. I'm on Twitter right now.
It's okay, they won't hear this. I'll edit out the part where you canceled me. Let's talk quickly about Halo Infinite's multiplayer, because we haven't seen any gameplay for that, and I've even seen people saying that that they think Sprint won't be in multiplayer and stuff like that. I feel like that's some hardcore mental gymnastics to say that Sprint won't be in multiplayer.
It will be in multiplayer. Like, people who say it's not going to be in multiplayer, you're just hanging on to a very thin thread at this point. Because if there's Sprint in the campaign, and like the game's designed around Sprint in the campaign, the weapon sandbox is designed around it too. The gadgets are going to be designed around it also. As you can see in the gameplay demo, projectiles move fairly faster than they normally do. Like, without Sprint in the older Halo games, the projectiles purposely move slower because there was no Sprint. But when you add Sprint, you have to add more bullet magnetism and stuff. And when you see the hit markers and everything and how the bullet magnetism works in the demo, there's just no doubt there's sprint. Like they can't just take it out because then they would have to redesign the whole game basically in the multiplayer. I don't think they're working on two separate games.
Yeah, I completely agree. Um, so Halo has a history of remastering or reimagining its previous maps and putting them in new games, like Blood Gulch becoming Hemorrhage in Reach, and even Valhalla was sort of like a reimagining of Blood Gulch, so the same sort of idea, which then became Ragnarok and Halo 4. So they definitely have a pattern of bringing stuff back. Like Midship is one that's been in like 4 different Halo games. So what are some maps that you'd like to see in Halo Infinite that are remasters or reimaginings of previous maps?
Actually, one map is one from Halo 4, which is Haven. I think Haven was one of the standout maps of Halo 4, and if they go with the Forerunner vibe with it, I think it'll be a really cool video. I mean, not video, but like map.
Was Haven not was that Coliseum in Halo 5 as well?
Yeah, it was. It was like the elite, like Swords and Sand Helios map. Like either way, like the map's just a really well designed map. I feel like.
I wouldn't mind seeing that again. Some ones that I would like to see is, and these are ones from Halo 3, so they would have to sort of, expand them or tweak them a bit. I'd love to see Guardian come back. I think that's like a really good little arena map.
Mhm.
And I'd also love to see on a larger scale, I'd love to see something like Sandtrap come back.
Yeah, Sand Trap definitely I think needs to come back. It's a fan favorite. Like we need some developer made big team battle maps 100%.
And it's just fun. It's like I like the environment being like a desert. Of course, I'm open to them changing it to something else, but I really like Sandtrap being as open as it is. It's a very like open map with really long sight lines and a lot of room for cool vehicle play. I just think that it's like sort of a unique type of map that hasn't been seen in Halo for a long time. Just one of those really big sprawling open maps, which would
Yeah,
fit with Halo
definitely.
Infinite pretty well.
I agree 100% on that. Like we definitely need those sort of maps in Infinite. It's really not a lot to talk about right now if you think about it, because we all know Halo Infinite's delayed, and really everything that we think of is just speculation at this point until we get more concrete news. And I think tomorrow 343 might have a like an update because they said last week they won't have one because of the development, but I feel like they'll be talking about the development of the game tomorrow. So we should definitely stay tuned for that.
Absolutely, and if anything big does happen, then you can sure as shit find the news update that you're going to need on Custom Chief's channel because he uploads daily. Link to his channel is going to be in the description, and link to my channel as well. Why not?
Why not? It's my channel. Like, you can do whatever you want. It's your channel. I'll definitely make sure to in my next video, if it's uploaded by then, I'll make sure to put a link to your video too.
Oh
So I
yeah,
can
get
give
a
it to
little
you.
bit of cross exposure going on. Well, I think that's probably gonna do it for now. Thanks for coming on board. Chief, Game, Custom, what do you prefer?
Custom Chief, just full name.
Custom Chief. Thanks for coming, man.
Also, all right, no problem.
You got a little tail bit you want to add?
Nah, I got nothing.
All right, thanks for tuning into the first episode of the Roadman podcast. That was my guest, Custom Chief. An absolute pleasure to talk to. Go check out his channel if you want some good Halo content. He does do daily uploads. Thanks for checking out, and subscribe for more.